All right, welcome back to the press once again this morning. And yes, I've been joined by my guest in the studio, and we'll be analyzing some of the biggest headline this morning, being Thursday. So in the studio with me is Ambassador Moses Kolawole Obisheson. I hope I didn't know that name.
No, that's okay.
Public analyst and CEO Stratec Properties Limited. Is a pleasure to have you join me this morning.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, Princess.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm sure you may have a hint of some of the headlines, but I'd like us to look at a few of them. I'd like us to start with, of course, the anger that is happening in New York. That's the United General Assembly. The president has called for a seat for Africa with regards to the Security Council. He has also blasted the UN over their inaction concerning the Middle East conflict happening. He also called them out, and he also mentioned Nigeria, with its mineral wealth and what it means for Africa. Basically, what are your thoughts on that? This is actually the 80th edition of the assembly.
Okay, straight up, I will want to say big up to the president from really standing up to what it needs to be. You remember he's just the immediate past chairman of the AU, he was the AU chair. Coming up to be able to really tell the world, United Nations, to say, look, this is what needs to be. I want to commend him, and because that's really is long overdue. You can't say it is a united nation, and it's extremely lopsided, where you have just few countries determining the fate of all other countries all over the world. Is no longer fashionable. It's good that our president was able to really come up and speak to them that way, to just say, look. And again, I love that if they don't do it right now, we're already losing some of the countries in Africa, pulling out of whatever you want to be. Look, in fact, recently some said, look, we don't want to be part of the Hague, the court. I mean, the court in the Hague. We don't want to have anything to do with all of your organization and all that, because they've really seen major lopsidedness, in the way some of these organizations and administration is being handled. And so I want to tell the global community, it's time we consider Africa. It's time we consider a permanent seat for Nigeria. You understand? We are the giant of Africa. We hold very in high esteem the interest of Africa, and we should be sitting right there. Several tiny countries right there are making if you look at Israel, small, very small, tiny country. We're talking about over 230 million people, and that can really cause a major crisis if they go down. And you really can't bring them in to be able to really speak and be part of decisions when it comes to insecurity. And you can see the effect in the entire African continent. There's a huge insecurity crisis, right here, not just in Nigeria, but all over Mali, Niger, and Somalia, everywhere. You see all kinds of insecurity, because the world is not taking seriously the security situations in Africa, and because of course we lack representation. I would really want to say before they lose the steam. You can imagine that there are other organizations that will be competing for UN relevance, and so I think it's a good one to really to consider and to act fast when the relevances will still make some sense. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much on that. Let's look at the case of the INEC boss caught in Aso Rock power play. Now, report says that there's a hint that there might be a new INEC chairman come 2027. It's not longer news that Nigerians feel that INEC chairman being appointed by the presidency is a no-go. If it feels that is not a level, it doesn't provide a level playing field for other aspirants and for Nigerians as well. What are your thoughts with regards if we're going to be having a new INEC chairman? What do you think should be the way that this matter should go about? Yes, we've called for reform with regards to who appoints an INEC chairman, but nothing really has been done about it. So as far as we're concerned, I think as the president, it's still his call to appoint an INEC chairman, and whether we like it or not, you can't have someone appoint you and you see the person as a boss. So you may have certain obligations to pay, and it doesn't provide a level playing field for us as Nigerians. What are your thoughts on that? And going forward, what do you think should be done with regards to appointing the INEC chairman?
Okay, thank you very much. I will just tell you that the current INEC boss, Yakubu, will be going. He spent 10 years, so he's leaving. So that's a given. Now the new president that will be appointed will barely try to catch his breath when 2027 will come on stream. Not only him, about 4 other national commissioners also are actually going to be going before the election, and we have so there's going to be a lot of teething period for them. Quite a number of new hands will be coming on board, trying to really still understand how to go before the election. But having said that, I have to just say this, like you have also highlighted. As at today, the Constitution puts it squarely on the table of Mr. President to appoint the INEC boss. Until that is changed, we don't have a choice. I mean, even when you say what's it called, the past president, that's the committee of former head of states, that is only advised to. He said, look, talk to these people to advise you about your own nominees. That means if you have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people in mind, you bounce it off them. And so when they can, even when they reject some persons, you can still go ahead. Because they can only advise. They can say, this person I don't think is clean enough, or this one I don't think is apolitical enough. Because basically what people are saying, what the general civil what's it called now? Civil society are saying is that bring someone who has never been involved in politics. That's tough, But hey, it's possible because Nigeria is big enough to be able to have that. But having said that, Mr. President will appoint whoever he wishes. But we are saying, give yourself some credibility by actually checking that you appoint. The person you're going to appoint will at least look fair to most people
and play fair.
So that you can be credible, because credibility starts from that appointment.
That's true.
People, how they are going to view the 2027 election will start right away from the appointment. But having said that, he's going to actually bring up his appointee and then send it to the committee of state, where past president and all of that, they will look at it and be able to advise him. Then after which he sends it to National Assembly, to Senate and all of that to actually consider. Of course, you will also know that he has overwhelming influence on Senate. So I will, but having said that, that's the way it's going to go. But I will personally want to appeal to Mr. President. You know what? Nigeria is big enough. Look at someone who is really going to be that is actually going to be a trusted arbiter for election. Don't just bring someone who is just going to rub your back. Look at even Buhari. Some of the people he appointed were criticized and he dropped them. And there's been a number of appointments in the past that have actually been criticized by the civil society, and some really did drop some, but some never did. But I think Mr. President has a chance to be able to write his name in gold, not to bring someone who is overly critical of him, because again, we must be careful here, where opposition wants him to be like Jonathan, who picked someone who he wasn't sure of. No, that's not what we're saying. Look at a man whose pedigree says that this guy is going to be fair, is going to be whatever, and take such person that is going to be fair to you, and he's not going to look, he's not going to join opposition to unseat you, because again, this is a delicate balance that you need to strike. But at least bring someone that we feel that is not your card carrying member. That's the worst thing. You can't be a card carrying member of APC, or you can't be seen to have actually worked with APC, or indeed any political party in future. Bring someone that is relatively cleaner and also competent. We realize that some INEC officials, really, with all due respect, some in the past have actually shown incompetence, where persons cannot read the results, where they cannot really, it makes mockery of what we're talking about. This is a national assignment. Bring some of our best, and I tell you that Nigerians, we've got beautiful people, not only in Nigeria, all over the world, that you can bring in to just come and superintend over, because this is actually the biggest assignment.
Exactly.
The person who decide who's going to actually govern this country, it's the biggest assignment. Anybody all over the world that you think is competent and is clear-minded and is fair enough, bring them on board. Hey, and let's get the job done. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. I actually would like us to talk about Nigeria, which I think in about 6 days will be turning 65. We'll be celebrating the independence. But before we do that, before I ask you what is your scorecard with Nigeria being 65 independence, what have we achieved, how far we fared, and what are the challenges, what are the things we should change? Before I ask you that question, I'd like you to tackle this other one, and I'm talking about the migration of doctors leaving the countries in droves, the fact that they are threatening strike if after tomorrow nothing is done. And this is like a daily, how should I put it, a daily dose of what we hear as Nigerians. Doctors are, I don't know, if they are not striking, nurses are striking. If they're not leaving the countries, we're having health centers left unattended. There are no medical equipment. In fact, I saw a video of a hospital here in Abuja where someone took a relative there, and he was asked to go buy gloves outside because the hospital does not have a glove. They have to buy syringes, like practically everything outside, because the hospital doesn't have any medical equipment to treat. And is appalling that hospitals are in this state, and we're having doctors, the little ones that are left behind, are also stressed because of the number of patients they see each day. What are your thoughts on this, and how can we bring an end to this particular menace?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, you brought me to a very familiar turf. Maybe by the way, my wife is a senior consultant, okay, a doctor, a medical doctor. So it's something I know very well. I will tell you that I've actually made a lot of push in this direction. Two ways we need to look at this. The first one, because it's actually the first of push and pull. The push, in terms of making doctors to stay here, it's easy to make that happen. One of the ways is to incentivize them being here. And how do you do that? They are just basic necessities. Make the hospitals, make it actually good enough for them to practice properly. I read something yesterday about a doctor who actually, I think about the only one in the world, Nigerian doctor in the world, who specialized, with the kidney and with some just incredible. Nigerians will leave. The Nigerian doctors will leave here and go abroad and become the best all over the world. Why can't they be that right here in Nigeria? So there's a challenge somewhere there. Now, but having said that, first thing I'm saying, incentivize. Let me tell you something that actually going to solve 50% of their migration is giving them accommodation. You will be shocked that an average doctor want to feel like, look, I'm able to afford just the basic necessities. We talk about the housing, in Nigeria. They can easily, with a federal mortgage, with FNBN and National Housing Fund and all of that you make it easy for these guys to be able to buy a house. Now, if you give them that and you say, look, until you finish paying or something, rub something around it so that they can actually feel that. Because sometimes they are working and they are not sure that after serving this country for many years, I've seen several of them leave in the last 10, 15, 20 years. I've watched them live in drone. Former president of ARD in Abuja is gone. I can't be calling names, but I know them one-on-one. And I see incredible stuff that they would have contributed, right? But they've left. So I'm saying, because I'm actually also in the real estate sector, I realize that just give some of these guys housing easily, make sure that their mortgages can easily be accessed. Yes. They will stay here, because accommodation is the single biggest challenge, headache of an average Nigerian. What does it take to give them? I'm not even advocating that you dash them, but you give them. I'll give you an example what happened. In National Hospital, a former CMD of National Hospital, Jeff Momo, what he did was that when some of the doctors wanted to buy a house, just about some years back, 7 years ago, and they really couldn't afford the pay down. They were to access 15 million, for housing, that's the mortgage, highest mortgages at that time from NHF. So the houses they wanted to buy was 21 million. Do you know what he did? He went ahead and gave them the 6 million for them to pay over time without interest. That singular action allowed over 30 doctors to acquire their houses. And because of that, most of those doctors are here. They're not going anywhere. Most of them are here. Because when you solve that biggest budget challenge for them, they feel that, look, the country has given to us, we want to give, but we want to be here. Their single biggest budget challenge has been solved. That's number one. So I'm saying that, look, government, number one, look at their workspace, make sure that the hospitals are equipped, and make sure that they can thrive to the highest of their potentials right there in Nigeria. And it doesn't take, it's not any big investment. It's not. It's just to get some of these some of these hospitals to work. You can start with just 6 geopolitical zones where you have hospitals of excellence, where people can actually do research, they can do all of that, and then we can grow giants even right here in this country. 230 million is not a joke. And anybody who want to actually be the best, to be able to serve not just the 230 million, but the continent, 1.4 billion people, you understand, in the continent. And so they have space to be able to grow themselves rather than the jackpot syndrome. So that's number one, giving them the beautiful environment, and also incentivize them by just housing or whatever. Now, having said that, the other side I want government to look at is that, can you start the massive production of doctors and be the thing that we import to the world? What stops that? Nigeria is one of the cheapest places to produce doctors. None of them can run down out. You see something? They don't run down to America or all of these places to go become doctors. They first of all become doctors here because it's cheaper. Most of the doctors who go there for their MBBS, to start their career, they gather huge debts on their hand. But when they first of all become doctors in Nigeria, then before they go, they are free with debt, and so whatever they are earning, they can repatriate a whole lot of stuff back to this country. And there's actually a time where what was sent by the diaspora to Nigeria actually superseded the budget of the country. So just look at that and work more on that, build on that, so that Nigerian doctors are all over the world doing exceedingly well and sending things back, so that we can really have a whole lot of stuff to develop this country. But if you are still, if you are treating it as if it's a wrong thing, where are they going, why are they not going? 2 ways. Incentivize those that you don't want to go, let them be here. The second way, produce more doctors, and let us have things that we are exporting. We have a number of Cuba. Go and check the medical setting in Cuba and some other countries that really have been able to grow their medical sector. We can do so. We can do much more. So I want to challenge our president. It doesn't take much to be able to just a little increase in budget and monitoring that people don't steal that money.
Exactly.
If you see what is being budgeted to Aso Rock Clinic and all of that, and still all of our presidents, vice presidents, and all of the top officials fly out of this country to go get medical whatever. So why all of the billions?
Which is a shame.
It's a shame. So I'm just going to say that, look, not only budget heavy money to places, but monitor. That those things are being utilized properly. You understand? Accountability and prudency. I mean, be prudent with your spending. So I see all of when I hear billions and all of that being sent everywhere, I just laugh. Because it doesn't reflect in the bottom line at all. It doesn't at all. It doesn't.
It doesn't. Thank you very much for that. All right, now let's go to, Nigeria at 65. As much as is a cheering news to celebrate Nigeria's independence, it also begs the question as how far have we fared? Well, this year's theme is all hands on deck. What do you think about the theme?
I love the theme, but I hope that all hands are actually on deck. Look, too many times our leaders tell the people, tighten your seatbelt, your belts. You know, get ready, it's going to be turbulent and all of that, but you don't reflect it. With all due respect, Mr. President, there's a lot more that you can do to reflect all hands on deck. At 65, we want to see a leaner government. We want to see a more prudent government. We want to see a government who really are on the side of the people, the majority. It's a shame that about 70% of this country, of citizens of this great country, Nigeria is one of the most blessed country in every area you can think about.
It is.
Natural resources, brain, just think about it. Weather, all that you can think. I've traveled a bit, and I know that Nigeria is blessed. But one thing that we have biggest deficit of is leadership. People who are going to look at our resources and be willing to make that resources work for us. So if you see all land on deck, if Mr. President cuts down some of his spending around him, it will dovetail it will permeate into every space of life in Nigeria. National Assembly will take that and run with. You will see that even some of this constituency budget, constituency project and all of that. There's nothing wrong with constituency project. But are we really sure that what is being budgeted for them is right? When I heard how much the budget for common borehole, and I'm like, this amount, one borehole will do 50 boreholes in other people's hands. You don't need all that. Currently, I love the fact that you're doing big and you're doing well in terms of growing the economy. But Mr. President, you've not done enough to be able to ensure that this growth actually gets to everybody averagely. I'm not saying it's going to be equal, but let the masses breathe. Let them not suffocate in want and in poverty, and then you say all hands on deck. I want to see your own hand, Mr. President, on the deck. I want to see the governor's hands on deck. I want to see the senators, the House of Rep people, because enough Nigerians' hands are already, in fact, their hands are glued to supporting the country. But I tell you that our leaders need to do much more. That's the truth about it. Beautiful. But if we haven't said all of that, Nigeria will be great. I know that. Whether with this crop of leaders or with those who are going to come, we're not going to give up on this country. Nigeria is going 65, fantastic. Thank God that we're not at war. Thank God that we are still one country. In spite of all of the shaking and all of that, there's a whole lot more that he has been able to stabilize and all that. So he has some beautiful agenda that's Mr. President, this current administration. But beyond that, I want him to look at the poorest of the poor. They are sharing 75,000, 25 to the poorest of the poor and all of that. That's actually it should be a very short intervention stuff. What really you should do is to create an environment that make people to be able to earn themselves.
Exactly.
Because you see, look, that you just do an road infrastructure across the length and breadth of this country alone, and then make transportation cheap. Honestly, you will create millions of jobs.
You will.
Just look at road I mean, I'm talking about federal road transversing all, I mean, the entire length and breadth of this country, and making transportation cheap alone will make farmers to be able to, and then of course security. Once you do that, farmers will be able to go to farm, bring their produce to the city center and get them sold for beautiful price, and even some will even be able to export.
That's true.
But where all that is done is that all of the goodies are concentrated in Abuja and a few places, maybe Abuja, Port Harcourt, if you have it in Lagos, and then 1 or 2 other states, than everywhere. No, come on. I think a lot more needs to be done. I think it's actually more of reintrospection for Mr. President. Is a time for him to look back, because there's really nothing he's looking for. He's a trillionaire. I mean, in Naira, maybe a billionaire in dollars. You don't need money. All you need now is legacy. After you're gone, what would people look back and say Tinubu did?
Exactly.
If he fails, because already you have 2 years that is sure, the other 4 years to come back is not sure.
It's not.
You can say that I've done whatever, but it's not sure. So these last 2 years, less than 2 years, do something and focus on legacy. If I'm not able to come back, look at Jonathan. He couldn't come back for his second term, his own person. So, but people still look at him and say, he's a man who actually who lived what he said. He said, no blood of Nigeria is worth my ambition. And when there was a lot of baboon will soak in blood and whatever, he just said, yeah, take it. And of course, we know what happened after that. The guy became a global giant, and everybody's calling him everywhere. That's the kind of things that Tinubu should be looking forward to. You know, and when you do it, the governors will take dressing, the local government chairman, the senators, and all of that. If you cut corruption, even all of that it would also rub off even on the governance below the national level.
Indeed.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I think at the end of the day, we just need leaders who think of legacy.
Correct.
You know, when I leave in years to come, in history, what would I be remembered for? If all our leaders think this way, I think they're going to make incredible milestones that will leave Nigerians happy. Thank you so much. All right, if you're just joining us, this is the press on Kaftan Television here in the city of Abuja. We'll take a very short breather. When we return, we'll continue and also have you join the conversation by calling our studio numbers to air your own opinion, react to any of the stories and what it means to you. Stay with us. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to the press this morning. And as I said earlier, feel free to start calling into our studio numbers to be part of the conversation we're having. Like I said, your opinion matters. And so you feel free to talk about the way forward for our Nigeria to be better. Well, while we await those calls, I still have my guest in the studio here, and he's been doing justice to all the questions thrown at him. So let's talk about insecurity in the country. Yes, as we talk about other ways to improve our nation, Nigeria, I think insecurity has been the biggest bane of this country, especially of late, because it has crippled a lot of things in certain parts of the country and then generally as well. Well, the governor of Plateau State, in the person of Governor Mutfwang, is calling for state police. Now, this is not the first time. I remember when that killing happened, the one that happened in Benue State, and of course, I think days later it happened. There were lots of killing in Plateau State. Even the president that went visiting called for he had a kind of a renewed call for state policing, saying that, okay, this should be fast forwarded, like we should really do something about state policing, and started. Well, as the normal Nigerian thing goes, at the heat of the moment, it was there in the air, but it has died down now. We don't know as to what is the state of the state policing, how far gone, what is the plan, implementation, and where about it. Well, the governor of Plateau State, like I said, is saying that the state policing will be key to ending insecurity in Nigeria. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, thank you very much. Clearly, the governor of Plateau State, Mutfwang, has really received a very major bash in terms of insecurity in his state. I'm talking about the state. As at the last time I checked, over 11,000 persons killed in Plateau State. I was shocked. I said, what? 11,000 killed within just a space of how many years? And I I can't agree more. We need, I mean, like yesterday, there need to be state police. You see, there are two sides to this. People are saying they will misuse it, governors will take undue advantage and all that. The first and the primary responsibility of any governor or president of of a nation or a state is security of life and property and their welfare. So once a governor cannot be the chief executive, the chief security officer of the state, all the rest things cannot work.
Sure.
The guy, I know him, Caleb means well. The first, when he just newly won his election and all that, I listened to him. He's a fine gentleman who feel like, you know what, I want to lead my people from the front. I want to be with them. I want to ensure that their best is paramount. But I dare say that he was crippled because he can only back, but he could not bite. He can only work with the commissioner. The commissioner, first of all, wait for order from above, from the IG or whoever, before they can take any step in security. I think we are far beyond that. We should, by like yesterday, really put in not just the state police. So first of all, I think state police is seriously necessary in this country, irrespective of some of the negatives that might come. We'll deal with that, because even there is still federal might.
Yes.
If you're giving just police to a state, when you have the army, the navy, the air force, and also the largest police right there at your beck and call, how many can their police be in the state that you think they will become unmanageable? No, I don't think so. I think we should have state police, not only in Plateau, but all of the states. Really, I think it's long overdue. Currently, I don't know how that can fit into the constitutional amendment that is going on, but I think we should have state police. Beyond the state police, we should also have community policing, because these are two different stuff entirely. Community policing is closer to the people. You can literally have a whole lot of all of the emirs, all of the obas, all of the our traditional leaders working with the council chairman and working with those people who are on ground to ensure that at that level you are able to nip the insecurity in the bud, because you can identify those set of people. They are not here, they are not with us here. We are seeing gathering of some maybe certain strange persons, maybe in their numbers 10, 20. Before they build into, you will hear that 500 people on whatever, and they attack a particular village and went away. Why? Because they couldn't stop them when 1, 2, or 10 gathered. But if you have community policing, the moment they are seeing strange faces gathering here and there, whether on motorbike or on keke or whichever way, one person would have called and said, look, we are seeing whatever, deploy here. But when you don't have community policing, you do not have state policing, then you will now want to deploy from Abuja. It doesn't work that way. I want to commend what the current National Security Advisor has done since he came in, Nuhu Ribadu. Fantastic gentleman. I was shocked when he talked about the fact that out of about 75 identified kingpin among those terrorists and all that, they've been able to neutralize over 70. I was saying, what? He said, look, go check them. That's why you see that you hardly hear all of the bombings, all of the terrorist attacks and all that. Yes, we still have what do they call this thing now? Marauders, those who are just within the communities and within the state and all that. But the major terrorists have really been deflated seriously, and I want to commend him. I want to say that he should take it further. But I can tell you that it is only insecurity at that level of violence that the National Security Advisor can handle. But when it comes to the other smaller issues, other whatever that happen in the state, where somebody will just carry AK-47, go to a particular place and kill 50 people and run away, it can't be handled effectively by the National Security Advisor. You understand? It is better handled at the state level, where the governors ensure that, some people will also throw up the fact that can they fund it. I'll tell you, no governor will do any project if he's not sure of the security of his people. So they will fund it. and they can't fund it. I think Mr. President should also score a big point in being able to push through. Just the same way he pushed through the autonomy for local government, I think one of the things that he should score is actually state policing and the community policing. If he does that, he will leave the country much better security-wise than he has met it.
All right, thank you very much on that security. All right, while we talk about that, let's talk about the maintenance culture of Nigeria. As Nigerians, we do not have maintenance culture, whether we want to own up to it or not. That is why we see buildings. There are buildings that are supposed to be like a historical artifact, but because they're not maintained, they are left in ruins. Now, I'm not talking about building, I'm talking about maintenance in general. And that brings us to the derailment of the train that happened, I was there last week, and it turned out to be, it was lack of maintenance on the train, the rail, and every other thing. What are your thoughts on that? Because it actually, we had so many people who were injured as a result of that. I saw videos of some of them walking around with their stuffs in the bush, you know. Maintenance culture in Nigeria. How can we improve that?
Yeah. So I will tie it up to both maintenance culture and also abandoned projects.
That's true.
Abandoned projects and maintenance culture really is a terrible thing in this country. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim actually did a major, research. You know, even for his thesis, for his PhD, he did something. And I think we were talking about 13,000 federal projects scattered all over the country that runs into trillions. And some of them have actually reached 80%, 90%, to all kinds of levels scattered around the entire country and left unfinished. And you see, when you don't finish a project, what it does is that all the money you've invested is tied down there and it's benefiting nobody anything. So that's also is attributed to the issue of maintenance culture. If you will not complete a project that has reached 90% level, why will you even want to maintain the one that you think has been finished and all that? So these two, I think, is a quick win, you know, for Tinubu. I'll tell you something. If you look at even the Wike administration right here, when he came, the immediate past administration really, they did quite some stuff, but it's just that they did not finish several of that. If you see, the train station was started by the last administration. They did a number of things, but many of them were unfinished. Wike was a very smart guy. He came in within 9 months. He was just you know, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And before you know, he linked several places that people were thinking, so there's supposed to be a bridge. If you see the Wuye axis, I've been in Abuja for 20-something years, almost 30, and I never even knew that there was a bridge that will link you from Zone 7, where you have the road safety, you know, to Wuye. But until this guy just connected, he said, so there was supposed to be a bridge here, because normally you would drive down to Berger to go turn under the bridge before you go back to Wuye. The guy was just connecting here and there. Within 9 months, everybody hailed him. Even his enemy, the opposition of this administration, kept hailing him and saying, "This guy has done fantastic. This guy has done well." Now, I don't want to go into whether the money, the amount spent, and all. That's really not what we're talking about. But we're saying that, please do not just start new projects. Finish the ones that are on ground. It's not because one administration is gone and want to look at it properly and see how to finish it. Having said that, also I want to see that maintenance culture. I want to dovetail it into. I'm not going to be talking about the amount spent is a different topic entirely. But that, look at International Conference Center. Recently renovated and all that. I was there a few days ago during this Audu Ogbe, the late Audu Ogbe's tribute, night of tribute. I was there and all of that, and even Atiku and the rest of them were there. It was a well transformed place. I'm not going to be. I did not do the check of what is done and what amount spent and all that. That's not. I'm not holding brief for anybody. But I'm saying that you looked at a place where initially was generating 50 million, and then you can generate, hundreds, if not billions, whatever, within the same space. That's a maintenance culture. That's a maintenance culture right there, that we can have a place where globally Like the honorable minister said, he said several of till 2027 is almost fully booked, because we can compete. Government can have a place like that to compete favorably with the private sector, like the Transcorp of this world. Before any issue, you go to Transcorp, but right now you can patronize government if it is properly done. Ditto for the rail. For the rail, I should be able to jump in the rail and go to Kaduna. I shouldn't be thinking I must drive down, or because no. If some of these key infrastructures are reliable, more persons will park their vehicles. They will not waste the. If you want to see, if you see some of our senators want to go from here to Kaduna alone, you will be shocked the level of wastages. They are going to go on convoy. They are going to get security. They are going to get all of that just because one man wants to move from here. A less than 2 hours journey, he moves with all of these wastages. So how can we move forward? So, but if you know that no, our train station, our whatever is working and all that, then it cuts down on wastages of this country, because we can't really grow fast enough if we continue in this style of wastages. Where I want to get to Lagos, if I don't get, or if I cannot fly down and all, there should be rail. There should be rail from here to Lagos. That can just take me from here, and then within few hours I'm there. Because rail is usually, it doesn't get stopped until it gets to wherever it is, destination and all that. So for me, I think it's also a quick win, not only for the federal government, but also for the state governors. Because state governors, go and see them, they are like small god in their state, and then somebody comes and all of the last administration is never looked into. Most state governors can look at whatever project have been abandoned or not properly maintained and not in the top shape, deal with those ones first, and it will speak for you. People will know that even though this particular project started 10, 20, 30 years ago, but you are the one who made it accessible to the people because you finished them.
Yes.
Because if you don't do that, then it's also still waste. 90% of electricity project done is still zero, until even 99 is zero, until I can click the button in my house and see light. Whatever you say, whether investment that you have done, it comes to naught. So I would just say that federal, state, and local government should look in the direction of abandoned projects and also maintenance culture. We are terribly bad with maintenance culture. You go to some places, and I look at the building, Federal Secretariat, massive infrastructure, beautiful. But you see, this one is not working, the lift is not working, the whatever. Come on, some of the best way for government to run, you know what? They should just have 49% and give the 51% to private sector. You see how things will work. Little stuff here and there, little charges. You see the little. There was one day I was called to come to Radio Nigeria, 9th floor. I had to go through the stairs. Oh my God. By the time I was in the studio, I was worn out. He said, come on, we now have our I can't say anything anymore. I'm tired. You don't need all that massive God. Whatever. Ninth, is it 9th or 12th floor? It's 12th floor, not 9th. 12th floor or something. That time, a few years back, not now, a few years back, and I feel like, wow, such a massive edifice, not a single lift. They say, there's no light. No light. Wow. Come on, man. We can do better. And you see so many of our buildings in Lagos, Federal Might was in Lagos before moving here. So many structures left there. Come on. If you cannot run this, can you give it to make a PPP? Public-private partnership, and let people who are more effective with whatever to run it. And I visited LNG the last time, and the reason why LNG is working is because federal government only has 49%, and then the other big players in the oil industry, they have 51%. So the management is in there. Look at that, 24 hours light, everything working. So it is just you divest a little bit. Have 49 and then give 51, so that whatever profit they make, you get part of it. But in terms of management, government has no business in business.
All right, let me take this one call as we wrap up, because we do not have time. Hello, Mazia Korafo from Arochiko. You're calling us very late at the end of the show.
Good morning. I was reading one of his editorial about the response of our governors. Honestly speaking, that the money the governors collect now with the present regime is short. Of 100%. I And if you go to some states now, you notice nothing to show, even the local government. So that's I have to commend the Abia State governor. The young man, Ochi, he has done a lot. Because why do I say Ochi have done a lot? If you stay in Aba, those people say, like us, that school in Aba, and school in all state secondary school of Hill. I did my primary school at CKC Catholic, CKC Aba, as a road. In those days, no road. But now, those areas are just movable. Like, is it Mongasi? Ochi has done a lot. I pray that all the governors in the other 35 states, including Abuja, will borrow a leaf from Governor Ochi and see what he's doing. Honestly, Ochi have done a lot. I pray that God will give him the grace and Abia State should vote him in come to 2027. Honestly,
you are campaigning.
All right, thank you very much, Mazi Okarafo.
Have a blessed day.
You too. Enjoy your day. Okay. All right, with that, we just have less than 3 minutes on the clock, and I would just want you to wrap up with what the SGF George Akume is calling for in terms of restructuring. He's made a bold statement from the government circles, rekindling debates about federalism and sustainable development. Now, my question is, what model of restructuring do you think will be best that will serve our unique diversity as Nigerians? Please, if you could answer in 1 minute, I would really appreciate it.
Simply let all of the regions work.
Okay.
The 6 geopolitical zones, let them work. And I see that Mr. President has started something like that, and that's why it actually has this ministry, you know, of those regions and all of that, and it's working with a number of the states, you know, within each of the 6 geopolitical zones. It's a fantastic idea. That was what we did before. When you see Southwest with Cocoa, when you see North with Pyramid, when you see South, you see Southeast, you talk about the rubber, you see all kinds of things. You see South, you see oil. So let people go to areas where they have comparative advantage. Don't say the people in the north must be the same way with Southwest. It won't work. Let each area actually prop up their side, the area of comparative advantage, because this country is so blessed and so diverse. If the north put their hearts together, the massive land in the north is enough to feed Africa. But if they are looking at how to share oil money, they will be lazy to how to grow the crop. So, and then in South, they don't have land, they only have water. So God blessed every part of this country. All we need to do is to make each of the 6 geopolitical to be competitive, healthy competitive. To say, okay, you've got large land, can you do agriculture? You've got oil, can you be effective on how you manage that? You've got commerce. Look at the Southeast, fantastic people anywhere they go. Their commerce, in fact, it's been studied in Harvard. In terms of I'm serving my master.
Yes,
you understand? Apprenticeship and all of that. Let everybody work on. I love what the last caller said, talking about what the governor in that state is doing. Until we'll actually take this big national stuff to 6 regional places, give them their autonomy to a large extent, give them their opportunity to be able to run at their level. That is the fastest way to grow this country.
Thank you so much. I've been here with Ambassador Moses Kolawole Obishe-son. He's a public analyst and CEO of Stratec Properties Limited. Thank you so much for availing us the time to come join us on the press today. We do appreciate your presence.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And to you that listen from home, we appreciate you for being a part of the press today. So I will say go about doing your legitimate duties, and I wish you all the best. God bless Nigeria. I am Princess Ekezi Okoli. Enjoy the rest of your day.